the Supreme Personality of Godhead comes on this planet to perform various incarnations, and he through all of that, he attracts us back. That's the whole idea. Krishna wants to attract us. And you see, in this world, all of us are always anxious to hear about somebody. When it is not directed to Krishna, it is gossip. So when we are hearing about Krishna, it is very relishing to the heart. And thus, we want to develop a habit and taste for Krishna Katha and Krishna Kirtan. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutabad Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchagalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we were discussing in the last couple of days, we've been discussing about Krishna Katha from the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam is basically the entire body of Krishna, the entire personality of Krishna, which starts from the first two cantos, which are his lotus feet, and it gradually moves to the lotus face, which is the 10th canto. It is advised by the acharyas not to jump directly to the 10th canto. But why? Because unless and until you understand different features of Krishna, his greatness and his opulences and what all he does in different incarnations, even if we hear about Krishna's sweetness, how will we be able to relish it? So 10th canto is sweet, madhuryamai. How will we be able to relish it? And therefore, we should go on a systematic study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And I encourage all of you to hear and start reading the Srimad Bhagavatam if you haven't done so already. The Srimad Bhagavatam is like a mature, ripe fruit. It's like a mango. Imagine a mango without a cover, without any covering. You can take a bite anywhere, it's sweet. Like that, the Srimad Bhagavatam is sweet everywhere. Because when you hear about Krishna, when you hear about all his different incarnations and how he reciprocates lovingly with the devotees, it is very inspiring devotionally. It stirs such emotions in the heart and makes us very much acquainted with the truth, not untruth. You see, the propensity to hear, to watch is very strong in all of us. We want to watch the story of somebody's life, some hero, we want to watch. And therefore, there's something called Bollywood and Hollywood exists. And people therefore go to watch and flock to cinema theaters to watch and hear about the activities of a hero. And when the real hero comes, like recently Maha Avatar Narsimha was a film that was released. And what kind of response it got. Very amazing. Because all of us want to relish the heroism of a person. However, they only have to exaggerate. In ordinary, mundane people, they have to exaggerate stories, they have to exaggerate scenes, fight sequences, etc. to show how a hero can be. Whereas actually he's not like that. One punch and 10 people go flying in the air. It doesn't exist actually. However, the Lord is like that. He is the hero. And when he punches, certainly more than 10 people go flying. So that is the real hero. And that is Lord Nrsimhadev. So that's why we saw that people are able to relate to the truth. So when such films or when such content is created, then people feel very much encouraged, inspired, and devotionally they would like to perform devotional service, because the reciprocation that we are searching for is only possible, it comes only from Krishna. It doesn't come from anyone or anywhere else. So therefore we encourage you to develop your relationship with Krishna by hearing Krishna Katha. And this director of this film is a devotee, so he had heard Krishna Katha so much that he was able to translate it via animation onto the big screen, and that inspired the devotion within so many others. So that is how devotion is. It is spontaneous, it is contagious. So in whatever way we can, let us try to become instrumental in Krishna, in spreading and glorifying Krishna and his devotees, and you see the positive effect it has everywhere. So Krishna, we were previously hearing about how Krishna, he chastised, not chastised, he corrected, and he was merciful and compassionate unto Nalakuvera and Manigriva, the two sons of Kuera, who were blessed by Narad Muni. They were actually cursed by Narad Muni, but when it comes to great Vaishnavas, their curses are actually blessings. If you have a senior personality, an advanced Vaishnava in your life, who is giving some chastisement, it is actually the greatest fortune, because all that chastisement is actually nothing but mercy, which will make you come closer to Krishna. Isn't that what we want? Don't we want to come closer to Krishna? Don't we want to feel the love? Don't we want to surrender to him in a way that we can get loving reciprocation with him? So, in the same way, Narad Muni became the guru, and out of mercy for Nalakuvara and Manigriva, cursed them, and then actually indirectly blessed them that they would be trees in the courtyard of Nand Maharaj, and they witnessed Krishna's pastimes. And Krishna was bound to the mortar because of so much of because of complaints that my Yashoda got. She wanted to bind him, punish him. And then we heard about Damodar Leela and how he liberates Nalakuvera and Manigriva. So moving ahead, next, the Lord, now as he was growing up, he desired to go early in the morning with all his cowherd boyfriends into the forest. So this is where they would assemble together and take lunch. So as soon as he got up from bed, he would blow his bugle and he calls all the friends, come on, let's go. So keeping the calves before them, they start to go for the forest in a great procession. In this way, Krishna assembles thousands of his boyfriends. And they were all equipped with a stick, with a flute, horn, as well as lunch bag, they're all carrying. And each one of them was taking care of 1,000 cows. All the boys were very jolly and happy in this kind of an excursion. Every one of them, including Krishna, was attentive to their personal cows, as Krishna himself herded them in different places in the forests. So, sometimes they would play different games. While passing through the forest, one boy would take away another boy's lunch box, lunch package, and then they would throw it to the other one, and then he would throw to the other one. And then that boy used to go running behind everyone. When this boy was this playing went on, as Krishna's childhood pastimes. So when Krishna went ahead to a distant place in order to see some specific scenery, the boys behind him, they ran to catch up and be the first to touch him. They used to say, hey, let's see who can be first. So like that, they used to race and make sure, they would touch Krishna first. Some of them, they played on their flutes or played on their buffalo horns. Some of them, they followed the peacocks and they imitated the sounds of the cuckoos. The boys, when the birds were flying in the sky, the boys ran behind them after the birds' shadows and tried to follow their exact courses. Some went to the monkeys and silently sat down by them, whereas some of them imitated the dancing of the peacocks. Some of them caught the monkeys by tail and played with them. And when the monkeys used to jump to the tree, they would follow them. Some of the boys played with the frogs on the bank of the Yamuna. And out of fear, when the frogs jumped into the water, the boys also dove in after them. And when the boys came out of the water, saw their own shadows, they would stand imitating, making caricatures and laugh. They would also go to an empty well, make loud sounds, and when the echo came back, they would call it names and laugh. So, this is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is the master of everything. Sometimes when we see anything which is very complicated, we should know that the intelligence behind it is Krishna. And just see how he's relishing such simple pleasures. That's what Krishna is. If you ask him, Krishna, who are you? He will identify himself as a cowherd boy. He will not say, I am a king, I am Dwarkadish, I am the prince of Mathura, I am the cause of all causes, I am Parabrahman. He will never say that. If you ask Krishna personally, he himself identifies that he is a Gopal, he is the cowherd, he is the protector of the cows, cowherd boy. So just imagine how the Lord loves cows, is affectionate to the cows, and he is also he feels uh, that is his duty, prime duty, to take care of cows as a protector. Just imagine how important it is for us to also protect cows because they are so dear to Krishna. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmanya Hitaya Cha. So Krishna is the Lord of the cows as well as the Brahmanas. So in his definition of who is Krishna, he is in his pranam mantra, it is mentioned, is the king of the cows. Ahead, Govardhan Lila, it is Indra who crowned Krishna as Govinda. Previously, before that, Krishna was known as Gopal. And then later on, he started being known as Govinda. Govinda is the king of the cows. So that much Krishna identifies himself. Unfortunately, India has become the largest exporter of beef in this world. So many people, they eat beef, even though so-called Hindus also, they do not discriminate just for the pleasure of the tongue. So this is an area where it is up to all of us to make sure that such atrocities are not committed in the name of sense gratification. And every person who considers himself as a follower of Krishna or a believer in Krishna should make sure that this industry, sooner or later, it finishes off. There should be no slaughterhouses. Srila Prabhupada was extremely he felt extremely disturbed when he saw the dire situation in the world, wherein so many people they support slaughterhouses, including politicians. This is not good at all when slaughterhouses are supported and they are increased. So, as a seva, we should try to make people aware of the dangers of keeping slaughterhouses or dangers of meat eating, actually. Amongst all the limbs of dharma, the greatest one, which is the most important, as you can say, is meat eating or no meat eating. Basically, compassion is that leg of dharma which gives everyone a chance to live and let it live. So, if we can't be compassionate unto God's other creatures of God, then how can we practice compassion? Then how can we become recipients of the mercy of the Lord? That's not possible. And therefore, it is very much important that we show mercy towards all of Lord's creatures. Then only spiritual life begins. Then we can expect that Krishna will favor us someday or the other. But if we do not do this, then how can we expect any kind of favor from Krishna? So that is about showing compassion unto all of Lord's creatures. So when Lord Krishna was enjoying his childhood pastimes with his boyfriends, one Aghasur demon became very impatient. He was unable to tolerate Krishna seeing so play so happily, and therefore he appeared to the boys in order to kill them all. Now, Aghasur was so dangerous that even the denizens of heaven were afraid of him. Although the denizens of heaven drank nectar daily to prolong their lives, they were afraid of this Aghasur and they were wondering, when will the demon be killed? The denizens used to drink nectar to become immortal, but actually they were not confident of their immortality. On the other hand, the boys who were playing with Krishna had no fear of the demons. They were free of fear. Any material arrangement for protecting oneself from death is always unsure. But if one is in Krishna consciousness, then immortality is confidently assured. If we try to protect ourselves through life insurance or through making certain arrangements, say uh, medical insurance, or making some arrangements medically that if we fall sick, then we will be saved. Actually, all of this really cannot protect us from death. It is not certain that all those arrangements will help us. But if one is Krishna conscious, then immortality is confidentially assured. That means that because we are actually not this body, but we are the soul. So when we leave this body, then we will be transferred to the spiritual world. And there we will regain our original Swarupa, which is Sat Chid Ananda. Sat means eternal, Chid means truthful, Sat means eternal, Chid means full of knowledge, and Anandamai, it means full of bliss. So, this is who we actually are. We are full of knowledge, we are eternal, and we are full of bliss. Having forgotten our true nature, we are suffering in this material world. And thus, Krishna is so merciful that he tries to bring us back by performing his very wonderful pastimes. So now the demon Aghasur appears before Krishna and his friends. Aghasur was the younger brother of Putana and Bakasur. And he thought, Krishna has killed my brother and sister. Now I shall kill him along with his friends and cows. Aghasur was instigated by Kamsa, so he had come with determination. Aghasur thought that when he would offer grains and water in memory of his brother and sister and kill Krishna and all the coward boys, automatically the inhabitants of Vrindavan would die. Because generally for householders, children are the life and breath force. When the children die, naturally the parents also die on account of their strong affection for them. So Aghasur, who thus decided to kill all the inhabitants of Vrindavan, he expanded himself by the yogic siddhis, called Mahima Siddhi. And the demons are generally expert at achieving all kinds of mystic powers. So in the yoga system, by this perfection called Mahima Siddhi, one can expand himself as he desires. The demon Aghasur expanded himself up to 8 miles and assumed the shape of a very fat serpent. Having gained this wonderful body, he stretched his mouth open, just like a mountain cave. He desired to swallow all the boys at once, including Krishna and Balram, and he sat on the path. So the demon was in the shape of a fat big serpent. He expanded his lips from land to sky. His lower lip touching the ground and upper lip was touching the clouds. His jaws were appearing like big mountains without limitation, and his teeth appeared like the peaks of the mountains. The tongue appeared to be a big path, and he was breathing just like a hurricane, and his eyes were blazing fire. So at first, the boys thought that this demon is just like some statue. But after examining it, they saw that he was actually a big serpent lying down on the road and widening his mouth. The boys began to talk among themselves. They said, "Oh, dear friends, this figure appears to be a great animal, and he's sitting with such a posture just to swallow us. Just see, is it not a big snake that has widened its mouth to swallow all of us?" One of them said, "What you say is true. The animal's upper lip appears to be just like sunshine. Lower lip is like the reflection of the sunshine on the ground. Dear friends, you look at to the right and left side of the mouth of the animal. It appears to be like a big mountain cave. Its height cannot be estimated. Chin is also raised." Thus they further consulted among themselves. If we all go at one time in the mouth of this great serpent, how could it possibly swallow all of us? Even if it were to swallow all of us at once, it could not swallow Krishna. Krishna will immediately kill him as he killed Bakasur. So they talked in this way. All the boys looked at the beautiful lotus-like face of Krishna and they began to clap and smile. And so they marched forward, entering the mouth of the gigantic serpent. Meanwhile, Krishna, the super soul within everyone's heart, could understand that the big status quo figure was a demon. And the boys did not know this, however, and thus while Krishna was planning how to stop the destruction of his intimate friends, all the boys along with their calves, they enter into the mouth of this serpent. But Krishna did not enter. The demon was awaiting this. He was awaiting Krishna's entrance. And he was thinking that everyone has entered except Krishna, who the killer of my brother and sister. Now Krishna is the assurance of safety for everyone. But when he saw that his friends were already out of his hands and were lying within the belly of a great serpent, he got momentarily aggrieved. He was also struck with wonder how the external energy acts so wonderfully. Then he began to consider how he could kill the demon at the same time save the boys and cows. Although there was no factual concern on Krishna's part, he was thinking like that. Finally, after some deliberation, he also entered the mouth of the demon. So when Krishna entered, all the demigods who had gathered to see, and they were hiding in the clouds. They expressed their feelings with the word "Alas, alas," they were saying. At the same time, all the other friends of Aghasur, especially Kamsa, who were accustomed to eating flesh, they expressed their jubilation, understanding that Krishna had also entered the mouth of the demon. So while the demon was trying to smash Krishna and his companions, Krishna heard the demigods crying, "Alas, alas!" and he immediately began to expand himself within the throat of the demon. So although the demon had a gigantic body, the demon got choked by the expanding of Krishna. His big eyes moved violently and he quickly suffocated. His life air could not come out of any source and ultimately it burst out of a hole in the upper part of his skull. Thus, his life air passed off. So, after the demon was dead, Krishna, with his transcendental glance alone, brought all the boys and calves back to consciousness and came with them out of the mouth of the demon. So, while Krishna was within the mouth of Aghasur, the demon spirit soul came out like a dazzling light, illuminating all directions awaiting in the sky. As soon as Krishna comes out of the mouth of the demon with his calves and friends, that glittering effulgent light immediately merges into the body of the Krishna within the vision of all the demigods. So the demigods become so overwhelmed with joy and showered flowers on Krishna, and then they worshipped him. So when Lord Brahma heard those auspicious vibrations which sounded throughout the higher planetary system, he immediately came down to see what had happened. He saw that the demon was killed and he was struck with wonder at the uncommon glorious pastimes of Krishna. Now, this gigantic mouth of the demon remained in an open position for many days and gradually dried up, and it remained a spot of playing and pleasure for all the coward boys. Now, this killing of Aghasur happened when Krishna and his boyfriends were under 5 years old. Children under 5 are called Kaumara. From 5 up to the 10th, they are called Pauganda. 10th to 15, they are called Kaishora. From 15th, they are called youths or Yuvak. So, Yauvan. So, for 1 year, there was no discussion of the incident of Aghasur, demon in the village of Raja. But when the boys attained their 6th year, they informed their parents of the incident with great wonder. It's interesting to note this. The day when Aghasur was killed, that day the boys did not see when the Krishna used to kill any demons, or whenever Krishna used to assist when he used to kill demons, and whenever some special pastime used to happen, the boys used to go home and they used to then speak to their parents about what happened. But now, when Aghasur was killed, for 1 year they didn't say anything. After 1 year, in their 6th year, they started speaking. How? So we will discuss that in the next pastime. So now you see the story is basically from the Srimad Bhagavatam. So it is a conversation between Parikshit Maharaj and Shukdev Goswami. So when Parikshit Maharaj is asking Shukdev Goswami why the coward boys did not discuss the death of Aghasur until after 1 year had passed. So Parikshit Maharaj explained that you are making the subject matter of the transcendental pastimes of Krishna fresher by your inquisitiveness, O Parikshit Maharaj. This is said by Shukdev Goswami. So basically, this is Krishna consciousness. Parikshit Maharaj is asking questions to Shukdev Goswami because his mind is constantly thinking about it. He's absorbed in the subject matter because this subject matter is such that it never becomes old. In this material world, we always need newer and newer things to keep our mind engaged, engrossed. But spiritually, it's not like that. You can go on and on. It is Nitya Nava Yamana. It means that we can go on chanting and hearing about Krishna and never feel tired, but always fresh and eager to hear more and more. So, and being the duty of the spiritual master to disclose whatever confidential subject matter is there to the inquisitive and sincere disciple, Shukdev Goswami begins to explain, why the killing of Aghasur was not discussed until 1 year was passed. So Shukdev Goswami tells the king, now you hear of this with attention. After saving his friends from the mouth of Aghasur and killing the demon, Krishna brought his friends to the bank of the Yamuna and he addresses them. My dear friends, just see how this spot is very nice for taking lunch and playing on this soft sand Yamuna. You can see along the bank of the Yamuna, you can see how lotus flowers in this water are beautifully blown and fragrance is so nice. So let the cows remain near us and let us drink water from the Yamuna. So while we go for our lunch taking, the cows may engage in eating the soft grasses that are there in this spot. So on hearing this proposal, all the boys became very glad and they said, yeah, this is a good spot. Let us sit here to take down a lunch. So then they let loose the cows to eat the soft grass. Now, sitting down on the ground and keeping Krishna in the center, they began to open their lunch boxes which were brought from home. And Krishna was seated in the center of the circle, and all the boys kept their faces towards him. They ate and constantly enjoyed seeing the Lord face to face. Krishna appeared to be the whirl of the lotus flower, and the boys surrounding him appeared to be its different petals. The boys collected flowers and leaves of flowers and the bark of trees and placed their lunch on them as well as in their boxes. And thus they began to eat their lunch, keeping company with Krishna. Now, while Krishna is eating, and then he's also feeding his friends, and all the friends, each friend was feeling as if Krishna is feeding him, and Krishna is looking at him only. Krishna used to say that my mother Yashoda, she is not a good cook. Tell me what you have brought for your tiffin. I'd like to eat that. And thus he used to sometimes snatch it from his friends and eat. So Krishna's flute was pushed within the belt of his cloth on the right side, and his bugle and cane were pushed on the left side of his cloth. In the left palm, he's holding a lump of food prepared with yogurt, butter, rice, and pieces of fruit salad, which could be seen through his petal-like fingers. Just imagine, the Supreme Personality of Godhead who enjoys, who accepts the results of all the great sacrifices. Now he is laughing and joking, enjoying lunch with his friends in Vrindavan. Now, this scene was being observed by the demigods in heaven. As for the boys, they were simply enjoying transcendental bliss in the company of the Supreme Lord. They were just enjoying. Now, it so happened that Krishna is asking Madhumangal, what have you brought? And Madhumangal says, I have got chas. And Madhumangal actually, he was drinking. And so he filled his mouth. Krishna says, give me chas. Madhumangal said, over. So what Krishna did, he just punched Madhumangal, who had his mouth full of chas, in this way. And all that buttermilk from Madhumangal's mouth comes and falls onto Krishna's face. And Krishna is loving it. And he's licking also. He's licking the chas, licking the buttermilk. And looking at this, Lord Brahma, he had real doubts. The same Lord who never, the standards for offering bhoga, the standards of offering oblations and sacrifice are so high. Brahma thought, how this can be the Supreme Lord? How he is eating, which is already eaten, the remnants he's eating of his friends who are ordinary beings. How is it possible? Now, at that time, the cows that were pasturing nearby, they entered into the deep forest and they went out of sight. So when the boys saw that the calves are not nearby, they became afraid for the calves' safety. And so they immediately cried out, Krishna, Krishna. You see, this is the nature of all those Brajvasis. Whenever they are fearful, they call out Krishna. Krishna is Yad Bhiveti Swayam Bhayam. Krishna is feared by fear personified. Fear goes away. So the boys at once, they transcend the fearful situation by chanting Krishna's name. Now, out of his great affection, Krishna did not want that his friends, they give up their lunch. And so then he said, no, you all eat, I'll go and see. So then Lord Krishna, he's still carrying the lump of yogurt and rice preparation in his left hand. Immediately he goes to search for the calves in the caves and in the bushes. He searched the mountain holes in the forest, nowhere he could find. At the time, actually this was all Brahma who had come to see. And he was surprised at how Krishna could act so wonderfully. And he was informed that this little coward boy was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he wanted to see more of these glorious pastimes. And so Brahma, he put the Lord to a test. And this is how he tried to do his test, by kidnapping these cowherd boys and calves. So now Brahma, uh, he performed this thievery of kidnapping the cows and the cowherd boys. Krishna could immediately understand that the cows and boys had been stolen by Brahma. So Krishna thought, Brahma has taken away all the boys and calves. How alone? How can I alone return to Vrindavan? The mothers will be very aggrieved. So in order to satisfy the mothers of his friends, as well as to convince Brahma, he immediately expanded himself as the cowherd boys and calves. So it is in the Vedas, it is mentioned that the Supreme Personality of Godhead expands himself into all living beings. All matter and spirit, everything is actually part and parcel of Krishna. So it is not very difficult for him to expand himself again into so many boys and cows. So he expanded himself to become exactly like the boys, who were of all of different features and facial and bodily construction. And they were and who had different clothing, ornaments in their behavior and personal activities. So, in other words, although each boy having an individual taste, activities, and behavior, Krishna exactly expanded himself into all the different positions of the individual boys. He also became the calves, who were also of different sizes, colors, activities. This is possible only because everything is part and parcel of Krishna's energy. In the Vishnu Puran also it is said Parasya Brahmana Shakti. So when we actually see in the cosmic manifestation is nothing but an expansion of Krishna's energy, just like heat and light are expansions of fire. So thus expanding himself as the boys and calves in their individual capacities and surrounded by such expansions of himself, Krishna enters into the village of Vrindavan. The residents have no idea what has happened. After entering the village, all the calves they entered their respective cowsheds, and the boys went to their respective mothers and homes. The mothers of the boys heard the vibration of their flutes before their entrance, and they, in order to receive them, they come out of their homes and they embrace them. And it is amazing because this love that they were showing was to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And all the mothers, with their breast milk, they were feeding to Krishna because they thought they were feeding their children, but actually they were feeding Krishna. So Krishna thus not only gave Yashoda a chance to feed him, but gave chance to all the other elder gopis also. So all the boys, they dealt with their mothers as usual, and then when the evening approached, they bathed their respective children. The mothers, they decorated them with tilaka ornaments. Cows also called their respective calves. The cows immediately came and mothers also began to lick the bodies of the calves. So these relations were unchanged, but actually the original calves and the boys were not there. Actually, the cows' affection for their calves and the elder gopis' affection for their children, it increased. And why? Because even though the cows and boys were not their own offsprings, they had greater affection for Krishna than their own offspring. And thus, after this incident, their affection for their offspring increased unlimitedly, exactly as it did for Krishna. So, for 1 year continuously, Krishna expanded himself as cows and cowherd boys and was present in the pasturing ground. So, for 1 year, he had expanded himself. Now, just one day, after a few days before a year had passed, a few days before it would be 1 year, Krishna and Balram were maintaining the cows in the forest when they saw some cows grazing on top of Govardhan Hill. And they saw that the cows could see down into the valley where the calves were being taken care of by the boys. Suddenly, on the sighting the cows began to run toward them. They leapt downhill with joined front and rear legs. The cows were so melted with affection for their calves that they did not care about the rough path from Govardhan Hill to the pasturing ground. They approached the cows with their milk bags full of milk and they raised their tails upwards. So, thus they were having so much of maternal affection. So all the cows come immediately began to lick the bodies of the cows, and the cows also began to suck milk from the milk bags. So there appeared to be a great bond of affection between the cows and calves. No one tried to stop them also. Generally the cows are kept separate so that the calf takes some milk. Not all the milk that the cow gives is taken up by the calf. So they generally are kept separate. So the men were herding the cows and the boys were herding the calves. The men who were taking care of the cows, they tried to stop them, but they failed. Baffled by their failure, they were also feeling ashamed and angry. They were unhappy. But when they came down and saw their children taking care of the cows, they also became very affectionate toward the children. It was very astonishing. Although the men came down disappointed, as soon as they saw their own children, their hearts melted with great affection. At once, their anger, dissatisfaction, unhappiness disappeared, and they began to show so much of paternal love towards the children. And with great affection, they lifted them in their arms and embraced them. And then later on, the men took the cows back to Govardhan Hill. And all along the way, they were thinking about their children, and their tears of affection used to fall from their eyes. Now, who observed this? Balaram observed this. So what happened is that it was Balram's birthday on the day when Aghasur was killed. So Mata Rohini had kept Balram at home. So he didn't come during Aghasur Vadh. Neither was he present when Lord Brahma kidnapped the boys and the calves. He was not present. So he didn't know what happened. He didn't know Krishna expanded himself as all the cows and the calves. Krishna expanded himself as the calves and the cowherd boys. He didn't know. So, but when he saw so much of affection, he remarked to Krishna. He said, "My dear Krishna, in the beginning I thought these calves and the cowherd boys were either great saintly persons, but I think that it appears that they are actually your expansion. They all look as if it's you. What is the mystery of the situation? Where have the cows and boys gone? And why are you expanding yourself as the cows and boys? Can you tell me what happened?" So, at the request of Balram, Krishna explains the entire situation, how the cows and boys had been stolen by Brahma, and how Krishna was concealing the incident by expanding himself so that people would not notice that the original cows and boys are missing. Now, while Krishna and Balram are talking, Brahma returned after a moment's interval. According to Brahma's duration of life, it is basically, him going to Satyaloka and coming back, it was 1 year. A moment was 1 year. So time is a relative concept. So Brahma, he just put these cowherd boys and calves, he kept them at Brahmaloka, immediately returned back to see what had happened. So he was also afraid, of course. He was, mentally thinking, he was anxious because he thought that I'm doing some mischief here. So he was anxious what happened. So he came back immediately according to his calculation. Now, what did he see? He saw that the boys and the calves, they were playing exactly in the same way when he had come upon them a year ago. Although he was confident that he had taken them and made them lie down asleep under the spell of his power. So Brahma began to think, all the boys and cows were taken away by me. I know they are still sleeping. How is it that a similar batch of boys and cows is playing with Krishna? Are they not? Is it that they are not influenced by my mystic power? I know that they are still sleeping, but then it seems here that they are continuously playing with Krishna for a year. So Brahma tried to understand who they were and how they were uninfluenced by his mystic power, but he could not ascertain it. He's trying to think, are they the original which I kidnapped, or are these the original? So Brahma's power was just like the power of a glowworm in front of the sun. So glowworm, for a while it gives some brightness, but can its power be compared in front of the sun? So in the same way, Brahma's power was like that, mystic power. So Brahma was confused about his own mystic power. Now, in order to convince Brahma that all those cows and boys were not the original ones, all the cows and boys who were playing with Krishna, they transformed into Vishnu forms. The original ones were sleeping under Brahma's mystic power, but the present ones seen by Brahma were all immediate expansions of Krishna or Vishnu. So all the Vishnu forms were of bluish color, dressed in yellow garments. All of them had 4 hands decorated with club, lotus flower, disc, and conch shell. And on their heads were glittering golden helmets inlaid with jewels, bedecked with pearls and earrings, garlanded with beautiful flowers. On their chest was Srivatsa mark. On their arms were decorated armlets and other jewelry. Neck were just like conch shells. Legs were like bulls. Waists like golden belts, and fingers with jeweled rings. So fresh tulsi leaves and buds also had been thrown upon the each body of Lord Vishnu. So they were all looking transcendently beautiful, and their smiling resembled the moon. So just by glancing, uh, Lord Brahma, he went into complete ecstasy. And not only this, after the manifestation of Vishnu, Brahma saw that many Brahmas and Shivas and other demigods and even insignificant living entities, down to ants and small straws, all moving and unmoving, were dancing, surrounded by Vishnu. And all of them were worshipping Lord Vishnu. Brahma realized all of these Vishnu forms are complete in mystic power. So all the energies are Brahma was able to see. Brahma realized that all these forms of boys and calves transformed into Vishnu were not found by mysticism. They turned into Vishnu Murtis or Vishnu form. That is also not Vishnu Maya, but they were Vishnu himself. So, in this way, he saw Sachidananda forms of the Supreme Lord as the calves and the cowherd boys. So, Lord Brahma was thus baffled in his limited power and conscious of his limited activities within the 11 senses. He could realize that he was also a creation of the material energy, just like a puppet. Puppet has no power to dance, but he dances according to the direction of the puppet master. So, in the same way, the demigods and living entities are subordinate to the Supreme Lord. So, Ekale Ishwara Krishna Arasava Bhritya, Jare Yaiche Nachaya Set Aishe Karan. Krishna is the supreme, he is one, and all the others are inferior to him. And however he makes everyone dance, they dance. So, Lord Brahma, who has great control over the goddess of learning and who is considered to be the best authority in Vedic knowledge, was thus perplexed. He is unable to understand the extraordinary power manifested by the Supreme Lord. So, he was perplexed completely. And Lord Krishna takes compassion on Brahma because of his inability to see how Krishna was displaying the forms of Vishnu. So Krishna pulls off the curtain of Yogamaya over the scene. So for Brahma, it was Yogamaya. Because he is far superior to the demigods and other conditioned souls for whom Maya in her form is Mahamaya bewilders all of us. So he understood the Lord Brahma was not able to comprehend the Lord's potency. Therefore, Krishna willingly stopped manifesting any other potency. So Brahma was relieved from his perplexity. He appeared as if he had come back from a dead state. He began to open his eyes with great difficulty. And he saw the super excellent view of Vrindavan before his own eyes, full of trees, and he could appreciate Vrindavan so much. Brahma thus he finds Krishna playing the part of the small boy, and he sees that the little child with a lump of food in his left hand, searching out his friends and calves, just as he had been doing a year before. After their disappearance, he saw. Immediately, Brahma descended from his great swan carrier and he prostrated himself, falling down in front of Krishna like a golden stick. Dandavat pranam, it is mentioned. Danda means it is once fall down like a stick. One should offer one's respect toward the Lord or towards great Vaishnavas also, Dandavat one should perform. So Brahma falls down before the Lord just like a stick to offer respect. And because the complexion of Brahma is golden, he looked as if he's a golden stick lying down before Krishna. All the four helmets on the heads of Brahma, they touch the lotus feet of Krishna. And Brahma being joyful, he begins to shed tears. And he washes the lotus feet of Krishna with his tears. Repeatedly he falls and rises and mentions the wonderful activities of the Lord. And after thus repeating and offering obeisances for a long time, Brahma stands up and smeared his hands over his eyes, seeing before the Lord before him, he's trembling, offering his prayers with great humility and attention. He says that I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Your bodily features are just like the color of clouds that is filled with water. You are glittering with a silver electric aura emanating from your yellow garments. You are the son of Nanda Maharaj, and you are standing before me with conch shell earrings and a peacock feather on your head. Face is beautiful, wearing a helmet garlanded by forest flowers, and you're standing with a morsel of food in your hand, decorated with a cane, a buffalo horn, bugle, and a flute. Still stands before me, you're standing before me with small lotus feet. So I am the master of Vedic knowledge. I am supposed to be the creator of the universe, but you have proved me I cannot understand you. You are present before me just like a child, and you are playing before me like with your boyfriends and cows, which imply that you do not even have sufficient education. So you appear like a village boy carrying your food in your hand and searching for your cows. Yet there is so much difference between your body and mine that I cannot estimate the potency of your body. As it is stated, your body is not material. Hmm. And your appearance as a coward boy is just for the benefit of the devotees. I have committed a big offense by stealing away your boys and calves. I understand you have bestowed your mercy upon me. Thus, I was able to see your transcendental qualities. I was able to see. So, he says that the best process for understanding you is to submissively give up the speculative process and try to hear about you. One is to hear from a devotee without speculation. And one does not even need to change his worldly position, if to just keep hearing the message. He says that there are so many instances in the history of the human society where a person, after failing to achieve the transcendental platform, engages himself in devotional service with his mind, body, and words, and thus he attains the highest perfectional stage of entering into your abode. If a person just keeps in touch with you by hearing and chanting the glories, your glories, and offers the result of his work for your satisfaction, very easily and happily he attains entrance into your supreme abode. You are realizable by persons who have cleansed their heart of all contamination. And this cleansing of heart is possible by chanting and hearing the glories of Lord Lordship. So, in this way, Lord Brahma, he is offering his prayers to the Lord. He calls Lord Krishna as Achyuta, that means the one who he never falls in remembering even a little service rendered by the devotee. He is so kind and affectionate towards his devotees that even a little service is accepted by him as a great deal. So Brahma certainly has rendered service to the Lord, and the Supreme Personality, as the Supreme Personality in charge of this universe, that's Brahmaji, without a doubt, he is a faithful servant of Krishna, therefore he could appease him. So he asks the Lord that please accept me as a subordinate servant. I have made a mistake. And just like a father, he forgives the child like that, please forgive my mistake. So he's requesting Krishna, please be compassionate unto me and forgive me. Lord Brahma actually, he realized his position, that he was absolutely insignificant. So he says that his birth comes from the lotus flower which blossomed from the navel of Narayan after the dissolution of the three worlds. And then the universe is divided in Swargloka, Martyaloka, and Patal So the mother of Lord Brahma is Narayan. So actually he's like mother also, mother and father. And he tells Krishna as the original Narayan. He says that Krishna, you are the original Narayan. So in this way, Lord Brahma, there is so much prayers that Lord Brahma offers to Krishna, and he apologizes also for the mistake that he has made. And in this way, this whole Leela is called Brahma Vimohan Leela. So Lord Brahma, after offering humble and respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord, circumambulating him, he goes back to Brahmaloka. And by his gesture, even Krishna gives him the permission to return. Now, as soon as Brahma leaves, Krishna immediately returns back to the bank of the Yamuna and is rejoined by his cows and coward boyfriends, who were situated just as they had been on the very day they had vanished. So Krishna had left his friends on the bank of the Yamuna while they were eating lunch. And although he returned after 1 year, the boys thought that he returned within a second. This is the way Krishna's different energies act. So when Krishna appeared before the boys, they thought Krishna has just returned. So they began to laugh, thinking that Krishna was not willing to leave their company also. They said, Krishna, you have come back so quickly. All right, we haven't begun our lunch. And so please come and join us. Let's eat together. So Krishna smiled, he accepts their invitation, and he begins to enjoy lunch in the company of his friends. So while eating, Krishna was thinking, these boys believe I have come back within a second, but they don't know last whole year I have been involved with the mystic activities of Lord Brahma. And so after finishing their lunch, Krishna and his friends and cows, they began to return to their Brajbhumi homes. And there, while passing by, they see the dead carcass of Aghasur in the shape of this gigantic serpent. So the boys, they composed nice songs about how they were saved from being swallowed by the great serpent and how this great serpent was killed. So they were saying, he's so wonderful, he saved us from the clutches of the great serpent and killed him. They didn't know that 1 year had already passed by this. So then, in this, Shukdev Goswami is asked by Maharaj Parikshit that how the inhabitants of Vrindavan suddenly developed so much love for Krishna, although he was not a member of their families. So how come? That in the absence of the original cowherd boys, when Krishna expanded himself, why was it that the boys' parents became more loving towards him than towards their own sons? Also, why did the cows become so loving towards their calves more than their own calves? So Shukdev Goswami tells Maharaj Parikshit that actually every living entity is most attached to his own self. Ultimately, so what happens? The attachment to this body is only within because the spirit soul is within the body. Similarly, when one is further advanced, he knows that spirit soul is pleasing. Ultimately, it is Krishna who is all pleasing and attractive. Nothing without being an expansion of Krishna, nothing can be attractive. So in this way, Krishna consciousness was fully explained by Maharaj Parikshit to Maharaj Parikshit by Shukdev Goswami, and as he recited to the king the statements and prayers of Lord Brahma. These are all transcendental subject matters. Anybody who hears, recites, or chants this will get their desires fulfilled, spiritual desires fulfilled. So in this way, Brahma offers prayers to Lord Krishna. So thus we can see how Lord Krishna, thus he performed so many nice, wonderful pastimes in Vrindavan. And he thus reciprocated the love. Actually, in this particular pastime, it so happens that Krishna had a desire, the cowherd elderly gopis and the gopas, they had a desire to have Krishna as their son. Even the cows, they wanted to feed milk to Krishna. Now, how would this be possible otherwise? How would Krishna is already having a house and he's already having a mother and father. So why will he accept the service and the Vatsalya Prem of the other inhabitants of Raja? So in this way, what Krishna did, this is how Krishna functions. With one stroke, he fulfills the desires of so many other devotees. So this way, we see how Krishna wonderfully he uh, gave pleasure to all the gopas, to all the gopis by becoming their son for a year. And that's what Balram also remarked that how was it that I'm seeing that generally all these gopas and gopis, they have a lot of love towards you. But here I am able to see that they are having a lot of love towards their own children, which was never seen before. So how is it? That's what Balram asks also. And then he gets the answer that because they all were with Krishna, so then they naturally was they were actually very much in love with Krishna much more than their own children because they were still loving Krishna now as their own children in the form of their own children. And thus, even the desire of the cows was satisfied, who wanted to make Krishna drink milk from their own udders. So that Krishna also fulfilled in this Brahma Vimohan Leela. Thus, the pastimes of Lord Krishna are supremely wonderful, supremely blissful, all rewarding, and thus all desire fulfilling. So, in this Janmashtami, let us pray to Krishna to bestow his causeless mercy upon us, and thus we can also develop love and attraction towards him, and thus become qualified to attain his eternal abode. So here ends the pastimes of Krishna in this Krishna Katha series. Thank you all for joining every day. It is very inspiring for me to see that how many of you are joining and hearing. And we would like to take some questions now. You can type your questions on the chat box and you can ask, and we'll try our best to answer them. Okay. So question is, just inquisitive to fill this knowledge gap. As Father Paramatma, Lord Krishna loves all living creatures equally, then why so cow is near dear to him? What the Bhagavatam says about her fortune. So why is the cow dear to Krishna? It is interesting. There is a lila that happened in Gopashtami. See, for Krishna, all his devotees are very dear. And the cows also, by the performance of loving devotional service, have become dear to Krishna. How? So this Gopashtami lila happens. That the cows, they wanted to, when Krishna was going, he went to herd the cows. So that time, the Ma Yashoda was asked by Krishna. Krishna asked Ma Yashoda, "You are giving me shoes to wear, and but what about the cows? I need shoes for them also. Give them shoes also." So then Ma Yashoda says, "No, no, no. How is that possible? We have 9 lakh cows. So if you give 36 lakh, then for that many shoes are required to give to us. That's not possible." So then Krishna says, if the cows don't wear shoes, then I will also not wear. So Maya Yashoda says, no, no, you have to wear Kanha, because there are so many thorns, there are so many sharp rocks that are there all over Braj. So then you will get hurt. Krishna says, no, no, I will also not wear if the cows don't wear. Now, the cows heard this. So in that night, the night before Krishna was going to go to graze, from next day, basically he was going to start this cow herding activity. So one night prior to that, Krishna goes. The cows, they leave the Goshala and they go to all over Braj, and with their hooves they squash all the rocks and all the tiny rocks and all the thorns. They squash them and make them into dust, fine dust. They went all over Braj and did this. So what happened now? If you also go to Braj, you see in Vrindavan the sand is so soft that actually it passes in between the fingertips, in between the fingers, the toes. It passes in between. It's so soft. So this was all possible because the cows did such a sacrifice for Krishna, and then Krishna did not have to worry, and Maya Yashoda didn't have to worry about Krishna having to wear slippers, because there was no impediment, there were no thorns. So this was the service done by the cows. So in this way, and of course, the Vedic culture itself says that the cow is one of the mothers, because cow milk is actually very special, and every single part of the cow, whatever she gives, is actually of great value to us. So therefore, the system is there, Vedic system, and the sacrifice that the cows made. So this is the culture. So it's not something new in our urban lives. We may feel like this, that why only cow, why not the other animals? But actually, Vedic culture means it is a civilization based on the cow. So that is why he's near and dear to him. Okay, one more question. Also, another question is, while Brahma was realizing, and many Brahmas appear. So how is it that Krishna wants to let us know about multi-universe? So is it Krishna wants to let us know about? Well, he wanted Brahma to know that he is only one Brahma. You know that story, that when Brahma, he goes to Vaikuntha and he tells the gatekeepers, go and tell the Lord that I have come, Brahma has come. So then the gatekeeper goes inside, he comes out and asks Brahma. The Lord is asking, which Brahma? He says, which Brahma? No, Brahma, there's only one Brahma. He says, no, 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 which Brahma? Then he come to know, okay, Chaturmukhi Brahma, the Brahma from the Chaturmukhi universe. So then he realizes, oh my God, there are so many Brahmas, some with one head, some with millions of heads also. And he is the Brahma from the four-headed Brahma universe. So, oh my God, he realized that he's absolutely insignificant in front of Krishna and in front of all the other Brahmas also. So in relation to others, you realize we are insignificant. So in this way, the Lord was teaching Brahma and then us also that we are actually insignificant. Question: does serving humanity also a part of expressing love towards Lord Krishna? So serving humanity, so serving Krishna, and how do we serve humanity? That's another question. How do we serve humanity? Serving humanity, it means that putting an end to the real problems of life permanently. The real problems in life are not poverty or unemployment. The real problems in life are birth, old age, disease, and death. Anyone who can help us to overcome these problems, then that's the real problem solving. That's real helping humanity. Because all others are only patchwork. They only it's like, you've got some infection in the body which is recurring again and again, and you take some painkiller or you take some antibiotic just to remove it, but then after the dose is over, then again it recurs. So you didn't cure the real reason for which you are developing this infection. So in the same way, all other work is patchwork. Compassion for a dress of the drowning man is not going to save him. In the same way, we have to have compassion for the soul. And the soul is a part and parcel of Krishna. And only by redeveloping the lost relationship that the soul has for Krishna can one serve humanity. So that's the Krishna consciousness is real service to humanity. Question: what are the distinct sign of true lover of Lord Krishna in this material world? You will find that such a person is one is he's addicted to Krishna and addicted to Krishna's qualities, chanting his names, hearing his katha. That's you can understand. These are a lover of Krishna. You always want to be in the presence of that person, and then you will always find them giving to others. Also, he's able to give love to everyone. So you'll find that these are some distinct signs of lover of Krishna in this world. Question: which prayer fulfills spiritual desires? This in context of what we were hearing today. So this Brahma Vimohan Lila, as we hear this Brahma Vimohan Lila, it gives the benediction that anyone who hears this, then all the spiritual desires are fulfilled. So that was there. But on a daily basis, if you just chant this holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Just by chanting this Maha Mantra on a regular basis, you'll find all your material and spiritual, both, all the desires will be fulfilled. Okay. Another question is how to deal with beggars. At one end, we feel that we have to be compassionate, but the other end, there is feeling that we are making them dependent. How to deal with beggars? The way to deal with beggars is by giving them prasadam. We do that. We try to do that. Whenever we go in the vehicle or we're going anywhere where there are beggars, we try to give them Krishna's mercy. So that's the way in which you're not making them dependent. You're giving them sukruti. You're giving them prasadam, which is the mercy of Krishna. By that they develop sukruti. By that they develop the bank balance, the spiritual bank balance required to be able to appreciate Krishna consciousness. Actually, it's not only beggars on the street are beggars. Everybody who does not practice Krishna consciousness, who has a lack of spiritual knowledge, is a beggar. Real beggars are those who have a lack of Krishna consciousness. Real beggars are not those who are on the street begging for money. The rich people are also beggars because they don't have love. They don't have Krishna. That's why. Okay. One more question. It is said that some in Vatsalya Ras with Krishna, but Krishna already has his parents. So how will the others who are in Vatsalya Ras with him experience the rasa? Exactly like this. Like today's pastime, all these cowherd men and women in Braja, they are in Vatsalya Ras also. They are considering Krishna to be their son. They desired like that, and thus Krishna fulfilled their desire. So they can become Brajvasis. They can become Brajvasis or Krishna's, their guardians, or they are his, they have some service related to Krishna, wherein they can do service to render service in that capacity, wherein they are in an authority position, Vatsalya. So thus they can fulfill their desires in that position. Okay, so that ends the questions, and that also ends our Krishna Katha series. Thank you all for being such a wonderful audience and listening with so much of relish and so much of interest, that so many questions were coming on a daily basis. That kept us very inspired. My request to all of you is that on this day of Janmashtami, you will please take a resolution. Janmashtami is the day of Sankalpa. When you go and pray to Krishna, you take darshan, and then after that you should make a Sankalpa. My dear Lord, this is my offering to you. You offer something to Krishna, then you see how much amazing your life becomes. And for that, you need to take that extra mile, go that extra mile to give him some may make some offering of love. And offering means what? It means that something that we would like to, not ordinarily we do it, but now we would like to do. And the best way is to every day chant on a regular basis the holy names. So please take up this chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra seriously. If you are already chanting rounds, please increase it to 16 at least. And those who are not chanting slowly, please increase your rounds, and thus you can please Krishna so much. So you know the basic principles of spiritual life. As we take Janmashtami, Madhava Tithi Bhakti Janani. So Janmashtami, Ekadasi, they are Tithis wherein they are the mother of devotion. Any devotional activity performed on these days has the effect multiplied by 1,000 times on any other day. 1,000 times you get the benefit. It's like a sale offer. So who will be foolish not to take advantage of the sale offer? So in that way, let us take advantage, and by committing ourselves more and more to this process of Krishna consciousness. So we should do this. So thank you very much, and hope to meet you all soon in person or by way of Krishna Katha. And thus, we can all move towards the real goal of life, which is to develop love for Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, कृष्णचंद्र भगवान की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। हरे कृष्ण। हरे कृष्ण।